How's it going, guys? So today, the Israel's Ministry of, I would normally call it Ministry of Silly Walks, but they're actually the Ministry of Death. Yeah, I said it. They approved, giving garbage to little children. And there was like a panel, I guess you could say, a dais of people. It kind of reminds me of the Wannsee Conference. If you guys don't know what the Wannsee Conference is, I should suggest you look it up. And this dais of people, they basically said that they're not going to, there was a vote taken. They're not going to release the names of the people. They're not going to release what these people said. And they're not going to release anything. So, as you could see, it's just very, very, very transparent. There's a lot of transparency coming out of the Israeli government, my friends. I'll just tell you guys, I tell people all the time, back in March, I was here. I drove my parents to get the you-know-what. I drove them to the place to get the you-know-what. Why? Because they said people 65 and over, and that's it. That's all, that's all we're going to do. We're going to do that, and we're not going to coerce people into anything, or make their job, tell them to do this, that, and the other. We're not going to do that. And then, my friends, all of a sudden, everything flipped on a dime. This magical Shmelta came out. Right? The Shmelta. Supposedly, this alternate whatever. We don't know where it came from. We don't know how it emerged. Some people think, scientists think, that it emerged. Why? Because when you're giving people the stuff too fast during, when stuff is going on, you notice I'm using code here. When you're giving people too much, too fast, what happens is it's called evolutionary pressure. And it creates an evolutionary bottleneck, and you're basically creating different versions of the thing. That's how you got the smelta. That's one theory. Another theory is that they just created it. If we know from gain of conjunction junction, again, I'm using code here. If we know from this gain of you-know-what, from Mr. Mousy, funded by Mousy, you can manipulate, right? You can create things in a lab, and you can create multiple different kinds of things. So, of the same thing. So, that's another possibility, right? But all of a sudden, we started running with 50-year-old, 40-year-old, 30-year-old. My friends in Germany today, they just canceled usage of the one I call Antiquity, starts with an M, for people under 30. They kept the other one, the Miser, but they canceled Antiquity. The one with an M starts with an M, ends with an A. They canceled that one for people under 30. Why? Because they probably see all these soccer players all over Europe are having problems. And they don't want to lose, to them this represents, again, guys, follow the money. Follow the money. Okay? In Israel, they used to give people, the piece of paper to show, even if you got the affliction and you recovered from the thing. Now they're just like, screw that, and we only give it to you if you recovered and got one shot of it, and then you get it. Why? Because Schmeiser pushes, and follow the cash, my friends, follow the cash. But guys, this whole thing with kids, I'll just tell you real quick, I read the comment section of the Ministry of Death from regular people in Israel, regular Israelis, who some of them took 2, some of them took 3, and I've literally read multiple comments from people saying, these people in their 50s, they said, one woman I read in particular, she said, you know, I'm 50 something years old, I already had kids, I'm not concerned anymore about my fertility. She literally wrote this, guys. I could show you a screenshot. I saved screenshots. And, translated from Hebrew. She goes, but I'm not going to let my children be lab rats. I was willing to be a lab rat for my country. She literally said this. But I'm not going to let my kids be lab rats. I mean, that in and of itself is sick. I think. Just the fact that people even have that thought in their head and just will go to that place, will actually take, will allow the government to do to them what they will. But, yeah, these people are not, I'm telling you guys, when this starts rolling out, I'm telling you guys, there are going to be people, regular Israelis, the people who cannot be bothered to go out into the streets, the people who, who say, Ma, ani smolani, if they ask them why are you not protesting, they're gonna say, what am I, a leftist? Only leftists protest in Israel, right? According to these people. So, my friends, you're going to see regular Israelis, right-wing, traditional Israelis, religious, whomever, pour out into the streets. I'm telling you right now. At the end of the day, the Jewish people are not going to participate in this Malach worship. They're not going to participate in this Avodah Zarah that was set up by Mr. the previous guy, Harebi Akodem, Lechavdil as I call him, and then the current guy who took it to the next level, Mr. Ben Navat. Yoram Ben Navat. Okay? Yeah, this guy's saying Ireland's having a problem, they have a high blank, they can't understand why they're having a problem. Yeah, because I spoke to multiple doctors about this. About doctors who no one's listening to. The stuff obliterates your system. That's why you gotta keep taking pump it up. It obliterates your system. You understand? As opposed to just getting the stuff, and tackling it early, and killing it early before by the time you get to a hospital, that's too late. I have a friend tell me, yeah, this guy, his friend is a doctor in Florida, and he's seen all these guys, Chas v'shalom, lo aleinu, guys in their 40s and 50s. By the time the person in the hospital by the time you get to the hospital, it's too late, my friends. By the time you get to the hospital, it's too late. The stuff has to be nipped in the bud with things that we know that can nip it in the bud within the first couple of days, 3 days, maximum a week. My friend says, talking about it causes this. No, well, it weakens your system. So it's a similar profile to the thing you're describing. The stuff that people had in the 80s. People that were what is it called? Spreading it through intravenously or through sexual, what's it called? By the way, I saw a video by Mousy where he's talking about it in the 80s. He was the head of back then. And he's like, yeah, besides sexually and intravenously, you can always also, contract it via regular contact. My friends, he was talking about the AIDS. Guys, I mean, this is the guy that's supposedly a scientist. You can watch a video of the guy who created that nose test. I'm not going to say what the name. You can watch a video of the inventor, the guy who won a Nobel Prize. I forget his name. He passed away. He actually passed away. Interesting, these people all passed away right when COVID hit. Right before. I think it was December 2019 or something like that. And he said, I wouldn't let Mousy near a microscope. The guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He literally said, I know this guy Mousy for 30 or 40 years. The guy's a total ignoramus. The guy's a total, complete, and utter ignoramus. Okay? Yeah, I know my signal's breaking up. I'm not surprised. At this point. Okay? Guys, the Jewish people, the people of Israel, are ultimately not going to participate in this Malach, Avodah Zarah, whatever the heck this is. Okay? Baal Peor situation. They're not gonna, it's gonna get to a brink. I mean, we're at the brink now. They're not gonna participate in this stuff, guys. They're not gonna you're gonna see people pouring on the streets. And, we had this head doctor of the Ministry of Death. She went on Channel 13 Mainstream media in Israel, guys. I'm not saying anything that's like can't be corroborated. I have the video on my wall, on my personal wall. She literally said, she's like, you know, she almost slipped of the tongue. She said experiment. She was about to say experiment, and then she like stopped herself and said this matzav, the situation, whatever it is. Yeah, in Germany, yeah, dealing with a version that the thing doesn't help at all. Only treatments work. My friends, at some point, guys, the data is going to be so overwhelming all over the world. It's going to come out, and doctors worth their salt, even the doctors who are like pushing the stuff, are going to come out and say, listen, the stuff doesn't work, right? The only thing that works is the stuff we've been giving them, like treatments, therapeutics. So, you know, let's stick to that, okay? Let's just stick to that, and enough of this mishigas. Listen, at the end of the day, you know, I was speaking to a doctor, and I said, listen, man, I asked him, I'm like, can any of this be mitigated with regime change in these countries? He's like, no, man, it's not going to be mitigated. It's not going to matter, because you have these embedded people like Mousy and other people, the guy behind him, this guy Collins, Schmalins, whatever his name is. Okay, these people have been there for 30 years, 25 years, 30 years. Mousy case, 40 years, 30, whatever, how many years. They are embedded. They have like tenure, you know? These people are immovable. You know, nobody elected them. Somebody appointed them way back when. They're there for life. Okay? It has to happen from the outside. We have to come up with, you know, right now it's loosely confederated people all over the world who are just kind of like sort of communicating, and you know, this one came up with this idea, this one has this idea, this one's treating people like this. You know, my friend Ephraim, his brother's doing this, largely ostracized, but he's doing what he can. You know, he should be well. Refuah Shlema, okay? People are doing stuff, you know, all over the place, but it's not a coordinated, because guys, you have to understand, these people that are doing this sinister stuff, they are coordinated to a T. They are all working in concert. People say, how could, what do you think it's in concert? Yes, they are working in concert. The media, the companies producing the stuff, the agencies, the bureaucrats, the politicians, my friends, they are all talking every single day to each other, and they have unlimited resources. And guess where the resources come from? They come from our tax dollars, guys. And then some. And the stuff that they've amassed, and the stuff, and the fat cash that they're printing. Okay? My friend is saying God is going to move the chess pieces where he can declare checkmate. Yeah, listen, no, eventually we will, of course. Of course we will. Fashtays. No doubt about it, we will. Don't get me wrong. We for sure will. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when and how. Okay? But, guys, Hashem, you know, this is the Purim story, right? This is Amalek. This is Sofek. Okay? We have a lot of sofek, we have a lot of doubt, we're doubting ourselves. This is the Purim story where Hashem hides his face, and we have to do, you know, we have to make our maximum hishtadlut, our maximum human effort, what looks like really human effort, but reality it's Hashem, and then at the very end, when we've done enough tshuva, maybe, I don't know about fasting, but tshuva and introspection and our own hishtadlus, then Hashem is going to step in at the very end and flip everything on its head, guys, and in this case, it'll be like Haman and all his 10 sons, and maybe more, are all going to hang from the very nooses they prepared for all of us. Anyway, guys, B'ezrat Hashem, and yeah, don't get me wrong, guys, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. It's going to be very soon, because, you know, the people of Israel are not going to stand for this garbage, you know? They're not going to stand for this. It's one thing, they sacrifice themselves, whatever it is. Now you're going for the kids. You'll see, guys, you'll see. People in the streets. Alright, guys. B'ezrat Hashem. Talk to you soon.